All right, hello and welcome to MSDynamicsWorld.com's Fall 2015 CRM Strategies webcast series. I'm Adam Berezin from MSDynamicsWorld.com, and joining us for today's session is Dynamics CRM consultant and MVP, Jukka Naranen. Jukka is a consultant at Digital Illustrated in Finland and a very popular CRM blogger. He's also a returning speaker for us, and it's always great to have him here. I'd also like to take a moment to recognize our CRM series sponsor, Scribe Software, and thank them for their continued support of MSDynamicsWorld.com. So as we get started, I just want to add that we invite you to add your feedback and ask questions today during the presentation. Please use the Q&A tab that you'll see in the webcast session here to ask your questions during or after the presentation. Jukka will be making time to answer questions as he goes. So without further delay, please allow me to welcome Jukka Naranen.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you to all the attendees who are joining the live webcast or watching the recording afterwards. In which way, great to have you here. So our topic for the day will be Microsoft Social Engagement, and specifically how you can use it together with the Dynamics CRM product. So let's have a look at the agenda. So the three questions that I'll try and answer today will be, well, first of all, that what are the current features that MS Social Engagement, in short MSE, offers to customers today? And the second, really the main question is that how can then Dynamics CRM customers today take advantage of the standard integration that Microsoft offers to the social engagement product? And then the third part will be a bit about exploring then the customization opportunities that we get when we can get social data from MSE into CRM and then start using the CRM platform as a customization toolkit for our own business processes. And Adam briefly introduced me there already, but just a few words. So as mentioned, I work as a Dynamics CRM consultant. I'm based in Helsinki, and I work at a company called Digital Illustrated. We focus on, in addition to CRM, also business productivity solutions like Office 365 and social collaboration, Yammer, and Power BI, and these kind of cloud solutions that Microsoft delivers. So trying to kind of like get the best possible combination of all those toolkits and envision then ways how we can connect our customers with their customers better with that stack and that toolkit. Personally, I've been using Dynamics CRM for well, exactly 10 years now. So been to many different kinds of deployments and projects involved there. And if we think about then the social aspect, then that's more from my personal hobby side. So as Adam mentioned, I do a fair bit of blogging and also then sharing content on Twitter on my Jukan alias there, and you'll be able then get all these slides from my blog, survivingcrm.com. They should be up there latest tomorrow evening, so don't be afraid if they move too fast through some content here, because I do have a lot of things to share here, but hopefully we'll have also then time to answer questions in the end if something has been skipped in a too quick manner. And yes, I've been awarded the MVP award for 3 times now, so very honored to be a part of that group, and trying to then of course share any of the kind of insights that we get from our collaboration with the Dynamics product team on how these tools will then integrate currently and also in the future going forward. About the topics in detail, so this session is broken down into 3 areas, and I'm not going to do a very detailed intro of social engagement, but I will go through all the basic areas first. So first of all, like how do you get the products or licensing aspects, then what kind of search topics you can configure there for your social data, how to share your social profiles with the tool, what type of analytics you can get from the MSE tool directly, what kind of social center does it provide for viewing content, how can we show that social content on maps, for example, or get trend alerts, and then also a few words about the feature roadmap, so what's been publicly made available about the upcoming MSE features. Then we'll dig deeper into the CRM integration part. So how do we actually integrate two products, and kind of both ways, so from MSE to CRM and also then from CRM to MSE, so they are 2 different integrations that exist between those products. We'll then take a look at how the social profiles and activities appear in the Dynamics CRM UI once you track information from MSE, get an overview of how the new link to CRM feature works there from the MSE user interface, so how to promote items from social engagement to CRM, then what kind of rules we can configure in CRM for processing that data, and then also a few mention about then the limitations that currently exist with this integration. And then finally, I'll give you some thoughts about what are the customization points available in this combination of products, so mainly on the CRM side, so how we can leverage these features on different clients like mobile clients, what kind of dashboards we could be building from this data, how we can use the social features with our custom entities, what kind of business processes we could automate via workflows, things we could do with the navigation customization, or how we can then leverage the CRM databases, search features for querying the social data, how to work with the entity images, and also integrate with some external profiles from some other services via the social data that this integration provides us. But before we get started on the agenda, then there's going to be a quick poll to your right side there. So I'd like to know a bit about what's your current experience with using the MSE product. So you should see now a list of poll questions there with options A, B, and C. So what's your experience with MS Social Engagement? And we'll give you a few little time for entering the your answers there in selecting the right options. So and Adam, once you have then the results, then feel free to share them to the members as well.
Absolutely. Just giving people another few seconds.
Sure thing.
Okay, so for the people that answered the question, 3% said that they are actively using it. 22% said that they have done some testing or pilots, and 53% said no hands-on experience yet.
Okay, that's great information to know, and it's pretty much along the lines I kind of expected because especially the CRM side of the MSE use case is very new. So it's been a product that many people have probably heard about and seen information about it, and maybe have had a chance to do some deployed in their environment, but probably not something that's really widely deployed yet. And that's a good starting point for this session. And so anyone who's not yet had hands-on experience with the tool, then you should get some idea about the core functionality in the following slides that I will go through. But it's still going to be a brief overview, so I encourage you then to dig deeper into the product and maybe read about it from the let's say official materials that Microsoft provides there to get a better understanding of what's the total depth of functionality available in MSE alone. But as promised, the focus is going to be on the CRM integration part for today's session. So this is kind of just the quick primer to MSE for those who are not yet using it. So first of all, how do you then get the product? And here, probably the most common scenario is that by having your CRM Online professional licenses, if you have more than 10 of these license types, then you actually also get the social engagement instance provisioned into your CRM Online environment. And you can also purchase separately, but as we see there from the price, so if it's $75 just for the professional MSE license, then, well, you can get a cheaper CRM Online license already, so that's probably going to be the way how majority of the users will anyway acquire the device for using MSE. And with the subscription with the professional one already, you get a search quota of 10,000 posts per month. So that's how much you can then collect data via your search topics regarding the products or brands or whatever topics you want to follow with MSE into your environment, and then you can purchase additional posts as well. So there's a examples about being like $100 per 10,000 more posts per month. So you can then get more as you go and start expanding the use of MSE. Now there is also then the enterprise license tier here, and it is included also then in the CRM Online Enterprise license. And similarly, you could buy separately, but I think that it's going to be most common that then people will choose the kind of all-you-can-eat license, meaning the CRM Online Enterprise, and then get the MSE Enterprise license with that as well. And the important thing to note here is that if you want to use the link to CRM feature, then that user who is actually promoting those posts or those social profiles into CRM, he or she needs to have the Enterprise MSE license there. So that's not something you can get as a free with your CRM Online Professional subscription yet, but rather you then need to either purchase the CRM Online Enterprise or then the MSE Enterprise license for those users who then need to be interactively promoting items from MSE to CRM. But then the actual MSE product, once you get it, then the first thing you'll have to do there is to configure your search topics. So MSE is not like your, let's say, Twitter clients like TweetDeck, where you can just browse any search topic that you think of. Rather, you need to pre-configure the topics that are then that you want to accumulate data into your MSE instance. And the way you could do it is here you see the options about the different rule types. And you could add a rule for a specific Facebook page or your Twitter account. So those would normally be your company's accounts that you use for interacting with your customer base or providing support. And there's also then the option of like promoting the private messages from those channels. But by far the most common use case would be the keyword rule, where you then define that from all the defined sources. If I have a keyword, for example, here I've defined surface to be the keyword. So any content on those social channels that has that keyword, it will then get included in the within MSE's search topics for your environment. And we can also see then a few of those potential sources there. So we see that we can search from blogs. So that's actually WordPress.com or Tumblr, as far as I know, all the public Twitter posts, YouTube videos, and then a selection of news sources. There isn't a publicly disclosed list of all the sources that MSE will crawl through, but it's still a fairly good coverage, at least. Well, Twitter is probably going to be the best use case for this, and that's what I've also used here in this demo for showing the functionality there. And you can filter it down into specific languages. So whenever, for example, then Twitter would determine that when I'm tweeting in Finnish, then it would only pick up those and not all the tweets in the world that contain the surface, because then you could actually get quite low, high volume of searches into those topics and then consume your search quota quite quickly. Once you have your search topic configured, then another thing that you should also configure while starting to use MSE would be your social profiles. So those, again, would be probably in real life your company's Twitter and Facebook accounts there, and then potentially also those representatives who are then answering your questions that might be raised up in social channels about your products or your campaigns and so on. So here you can then actually authorize MSE to act as a user who can query and post data from these social networks, so from Twitter and Facebook, by using your credentials. And adding an account here doesn't mean that everybody in your organization gets access to it, but you have a very good granular level of control over who's then going to be authorized for using that profile there. So, for example, for this Twitter profile, MSE and CRM FI, I could then, for example, choose that Alicia and Amy are able to then post content in the name of that account, but not the others. And behind the scenes, there's also then different user roles that you can determine, so that, for example, people can only read content from here and not post it. So it's a fairly comprehensive security model in that sense, but you need to have some accounts here to be able to engage via MSE, of course. So once you have your search topics and profiles configured, then you'll start to get data into your MSE instance. And this is probably the screen that you will have seen in all the brochures and marketing materials and blog posts covering MSE. So it usually would be the starting page where you then land once you launch the MSE application from your Office 365 portal. So there's a set of 5 different pre-configured dashboards that focus then on different aspects of the data being collected. So on the overview page, we can already see the volume of tweets in this case per the time period. So in top corner, you can also, of course, filter down the specific time period. So it's going to be like past month or today or past week or so on. And you can also see that there's sentiment scores. So the product will try to analyze whether you are positive or negative about the content that you're tweeting, and which will then end up in MSE. You'll see trending phrases, so most common words being used there, and also then in top authors, sources, social media channels, and location data. So there's a very nice looking big kind of Power BI style dashboard available in the MSE product for everybody to view the data and then drill into it in more detail. So you can download data from here into Excel if you need to take a snapshot, or then analyze it interactively in the user interface itself. Then if you would, for example, in the top left corner, I see that I'm now narrowed it down into the products. So that's my filter of the search topics there. And then once I expand the actual detail about the posts that make up that data set that we were analyzing there previously in the charts, then we can of course see the individual post about who is saying what and what that hashtag and so on. And I can always then apply further filter criteria interactively on top of this the search topic there. So for example, I could add further keywords that I use then to narrow it down, saying that, for example, here I've been tracking dynamic CRM related tweets. So if I then just want to see the ones that contain the keyword social, then I could interactively add it here as well, or drill down into specific languages or locations, or even reach, for example, there in the bottom. So that would be then the how much the person tweeting it has followers. So how widely will this particular tweet have been seen by other users of the same channel there. So very nice interactive real-time capabilities there, and you can get to the same kind of level detail as you would via the native query clients, and also many other popular social media monitoring tools. Then the social center, that's kind of your place where any user can configure then their personal kind of hub for what are the topics that they are particularly interested in. So let's say that I would be working in a particular business unit for a company that's using MSE on a global level. Then I could here see that, for example, I just want to track the service-related topics, but not Lumia, for example. So I could just have that as my post stream here, and the users will then have personal options to like rearrange these, the order of them, apply labels and further filters, and then also share these to other users. So if you are working in a team who's all of them are interested in service-related tweets, then it will be easy for one person to configure that and then share that stream to the other users. Then moving forward, we can also then use MSE for scenarios where we'll be tracking the sort of live buzz around the topic. So let's say that you would have a big event going on where you are then instructing people to use a particular hashtag for the event, or you have some product launches that you know will generate some buzz about your brand names. Then using this kind of a live activity map would be a great way to visualize what's going on right now. So this is something that will show you then alternatively the buzz map, or then the sentiment map, or heat map. So is it going to be then positive or negative, in which countries, and what's the locations of those persons who are sharing the content here. And you can filter this down into then from, let's say, last 30 minutes to last 24 hours. So it really is the kind of like situation room kind of view into what's going on really right now in the world of social media there. So something you could post on a public big screen TV in your event, for example, by MSE. Then if you want to monitor specific events there that require your attention, and there's also the alert feature that you can configure in the message center of MSE. So there you can configure either trend alerts or post alerts, and then define the actions. So which user, or actually which email address, should get the notification about when a certain threshold is achieved or a criteria is being met. So here, for example, there's a post for a specific user account, so a Twitter account that I own. There's been a question now from a user to it, so I can already get an alert into my inbox. I don't have to be in MSE all the time. And similarly, I could then also get a trend alert here saying that, for example, if previously used to be only like, well, 10 tweets per day on a topic, and now there's like 100, so there might be actually something happening around that brand or a product or company name, so I should be alerted to it. So MSE can again proactively send you an alert about this kind of abnormal situation in the data that it can detect based on the trends of collecting data there. And so in short, about how the social engagement product is being developed. So that was a very rough overview of the current feature set, but there's actually new features being rolled out now almost on a monthly release cadence. So actually just a while ago in the 2015 update 1.2, we received the ability to link social posts into CRM. So that's a very new feature and probably one reason why not many CRM customers have yet been exploring the MSE product in very much detail, because previously it was only one-way integration for showing data in CRM via UI-level integration of widgets, but now you can actually track individual posts there. So already expanding the use cases of MSE quite significantly in those time CRM customers. And actually, right at this moment, there's the 2016 update 1 rolling out. So that will again give you a new feature of creating brand new posts from MSE, not just replying to previous threads, because that's how it's been in the previous version. So it's not really been a campaign tool for sending out new notifications to Twitter or Facebook about what your campaigns will be launching, but now you will also then get that ability with the very latest version being rolled out as we speak. And so right now, there's only really, if you think about just the social networks, then only Facebook and Twitter are covered by MSE. But that's, of course, been a frequent ask from customers that when could we get channels like, for example, LinkedIn or Instagram into the product. And Microsoft is working on that, and they have committed to introduce more sources there in future releases, so probably in the spring time frame. So there will be, for example, the ability to add, for you to add your custom RSS feed sources into the search topic data set that MSE will be then analyzing. And right now it supports in total 20 search languages, and 15 of those languages are enabled for the sentiment analysis. So being able to then determine automatically that whether it's a positive or negative or neutral comment from the user. And you can always then, of course, also adjust the sentiment that the MSE will give to those posts. But it's an algorithm that keeps on then getting better the more data it gets. So it's being rolled out gradually into more languages. And the best place to keep an eye on what's actually coming for the product is the What's New page there. So included these short URLs for you to quickly then access them right now, even before you get the slides. So that's definitely something to bookmark if you're interested in seeing the latest updates. And then the Get Ready page there is something that's as part of the CRM roadmap. There's announcements about then what's going to be included in the next releases for MSE. And if you look at the roadmap items that have been communicated there by the product team, so as mentioned, we can then soon be able to do new posts in the social media, not just replies. We'll be able to see the author profiles in more detail, so identifying that what's the kind of background and reach of this particular customer that we're communicating with over the social channels. There's going to be a brand new social selling app as well for specifically for sales users, and that should be a really interesting extension for the use cases, because so far it's really been more focused on the marketing use cases for analyzing the impact of your campaigns, a bit extending out into the social customer care side with the ability to track those items. And then also there's going to be this feature for automatically predicting that should this be an opportunity or a lead or other record in MSE. So adding those tags into those posts will also be coming in the future months. So that's a very quick overview into the MSE feature set. Any questions at this point about what you'd like to know more about the social engagement application itself?
Yeah. Let's see if we have any questions that came in. All right, we've got a couple. Is the 10,000 post count per org and accrued by all users and not per user?
Yes, so that is per organ and per your MSE instance. So at the moment, there's only one MSE per online org. So yes, regardless of how many users you have, then you will not get more posts. You will then have to buy the additional 10,000 packs for getting more posts included into your search topics.
Okay, perfect. And here's another question. What is a post stream? Is it a single post?
So the streams, they are kind of like results of like tracking specific hashtags, for example, or keywords. So I could have a stream there of all the trees that are mentioning, for example, Surface or Dynamics CRM. So it's similar as to what you would have in TweetDeck and other these kind of products, multiple concurrent streams there.
And here's another question. Can I configure alerts for the whole community of Facebook about my brand?
Yeah, basically the alerts would be common to all the different social channels that MSE is monitoring, but then you cannot currently query any other Facebook pages rather than the ones that you configured into your instance, because there's no more this public search graph available from Facebook. So that actually used to be a feature there in MSE, but now because of the limitations imposed by Facebook, then it's now limited to just the kind of like just the specific pages where you're tracking, so you cannot really get it from competitor sites if you're not tracking them yourself at the moment.
And we have, looks like we have one more question. How does the automatic tagging of posts work?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. It's an upcoming feature, and it's really haven't had a chance to try it out yet, but it's supposed to be, well, I'd say, a machine learning feature there. So probably based on what kind of leads or cases or other records you've promoted in the past, and I imagine that it would be learning about that in the future. So we'll need to keep an eye on how that develops. But yeah, it's very interesting to understand how the machine works behind the scenes. But we'll get more information about that as it rolls out as part of the spring release wave. Okay. I guess we'll need to then move on to the CRM integration part of the presentation for the sake of time here, and answer more questions then at the end. So if we think about then connecting MSE with CRM, so as I mentioned there earlier, there's actually two ways you can do the integration. And this, from MSE to CRM, it's then used for pushing physically the social posts and profiles into your CRM database. And right now, it only supports the latest CRM Online version, so 2050 Update 1, because of the data model schema behind the scenes. But as I've understood, it should also then be available in CRM 2016, also for the on-prem environments. But again, in online, you have to be always in the same tenant for connecting the MSE and CRM instances then across. But what you can do actually in your online tenant is to have a single MSE connected to multiple CRM online instances. So if you would, for example, have different departmental instances of CRM there in the cloud, then you could actually then choose into which CRM instance you will push the data when you are tracking the posts from MSE. So as you can see there in the UI, there's the option then for adding more than one connection there, and there's already option for the on-premise, but as far as I know, that's still only coming in the next version then. The other way around then for connecting from CRM to MSE, so this is then the integration that will allow you to show the embedded results of those search topics inside the CRM user interface, so either on forms or dashboards. And this was actually introduced already a while ago, I think 1 year ago, and it's available for both online and on-prem for CRM 2015. So it's a single configures option there in the settings UI, and it's only, again, it doesn't really push any physical data into MSE, so CRM today cannot update anything that's in social engagement, but it's kind of like just one-way integration for the data from MSE to CRM, but you can then show the results in the CRM UI because of this integration. And then the social profiles. So this is, again, it was a feature that was brought in the CRM data model already earlier on, but before there wasn't really a way to actually populate the data. But so now this will work so that whenever we track a new from a new social profile, the first time we track a post from them in MSE, then a corresponding social profile record will be populated in CRM. And one thing to note here is that you cannot create these manually as a CRM user. So it's either just the MSE application or via the SDK, but so it will also be created by the application and not the user who then finds these profiles online there. And one thing to note here is that currently there is no matching logic there. So if, for example, here this user Teppo here, he would have been a customer contact in our CRM, then MSE cannot currently automatically determine that actually there's an existing contact there. Rather, it will create a new contact for that social profile, and then it's up to you to then merge those duplicates. And of course, after that, it will then be accumulating the profile and post data into the right place. But in the first tracking, there probably will be duplicate records quite a lot in your environment as a result of the promoting these profiles from MSE to CRM. Then for the actual posts, so they will show up as social activities in CRM. And again, these are created whenever you use the link to CRM feature in the MSE user interface. Same with the social profiles. So a user cannot manually create these in CRM, and probably wouldn't make sense because it's then going to be linked to the actual Twitter or Facebook post. That's the source of this information here. And so the context will be roughly what you have there in the visible MSE user interface in those streams, but there is also this special field called additional parameters shown there in the bottom. So that's actually then a JSON payload. So it's something that can then be either programmatically or by configuration be leveraged for driving your standard processes based on additional data that's not visible necessarily in the visible tweets as tracked by MSE. We'll take a look at that in a moment in more detail then. And the social activities, so they are like any other activity in CRM, and the great thing about that is that they will then show up as part of the activity history of those contacts. So in the place where you have your normally your email history, what you've discussed with the customer or phone calls, then you can also see this promoted social post there in the same social pane component on the CRM entity form. And you can also then access them from the native activity menus. So this means that you can then apply your own filters or then use them in reports. So it's then CRM data as any other record, only the fact that it has been created by MSE via the integration there. So no other difference really in how you can use it. But then the actual steps about how do we get that data into CRM. So you would have to then start from the social engagement user interface. So here I'm tracking now discussions related to the MSE and CRM hashtag, and I've chosen a post from Ramon Cebar, a fellow MVP working at Metrobank, and okay, I've seen that this is actually an interesting tweet that I'd like to drag into our CRM. So I expanded the post there and then clicked on the link to CRM menu there, visible on the right side. And if there's more instances than one CRM connected here, I could actually also decide that this will go to this particular CRM organization. Then I need to choose the type of entity that I want to create in CRM for this post. So in this case, I've created a lead record there. And one final thing that I can do here before I track the post is that I can enter some free text notes here about, so comments really about, for example, why is this particular post being tracked as a lead? So something I can then pass along to the other users who are viewing the data from CRM. And once I then click on the create record there, then the data will be sent to the correct CRM instance automatically. And within a few seconds, you will then see the resulting data in the dynamic CRM user interface. So here's an example of the same record. So I chose to create a new lead for Ramon here from this social post. And from here, we can see that there's, of course, the new lead being created here. We're on the lead form in CRM, as you can see. But there's also a new contact being created for Ramon because it was the first time that I tracked a conversation from his social profile into my CRM instance. So that's been automatically linked into this lead there. And I can also then view the contents of the social message there in the description field, as you can see. And similar to, as I showed there, the activities underneath the contact, then it's also shown here because it follows the same kind of roll-up feature for the activities as any other native CRM activities would. So it shows up both under the lead and then Ramon's contact as well in CRM. So how do we then actually configure this so that what records can I create from MSE? So if I'm, for example, not using leads in my organization, but rather it's just only opportunities, then I could easily go here and then configure in social engagement that actually I want to enable the creation of new opportunities from social posts. So I just have to go there and expand the list of the configured entities for this CRM instance and select opportunities, save it, and then it will be available. There's a selection for me to apply on new social posts. And you can apply this for many of the default entities and all of your custom CRM entities. So, for example, there's you can see the signal entity being enabled there in this screenshot. So that's a completely custom entity I created for this demo scenario. We'll get to that in a bit in the last part of the customization topics of this presentation. So very flexible in that sense about what you can track against what kind of entities in CRM. And the default list of entities there covers pretty much all the typical entities you could envision to be using there. But for example, if I quickly look at through this list here, I see that, for example, products is not available in this list. So it's good to evaluate the supported entities before then planning your process further about how you would be tracking these then posts into CRM. So and then about the details, so you might be wondering that, okay, how do I actually then say that if I have a custom entity, so into which field should I push the content of the posts or the notes from the MSE users? So that's something that you don't configure in MSE, but rather you do that on the CRM side. And you will use the record creation rules feature in CRM to do that. But while here still in the social engagement UI, so what we can here configure then for the entities is that we can determine that what's going to be the preview of the CRM record that we want to show to the MSE user. So for example, if I would go navigate back to the lead, the original post from Ramon that I tracked as a lead, then even in MSE, I could expand that post and see a preview of the contents of the lead record. So I would see, for example, the current owner of the lead and the status of the lead, so whether it's been qualified or disqualified and so on, without having to actually leave the MSE user interface. So very handy in that sense that you can don't have to open the other application to see the status of the related record from here. But then going into the back to the CRM side of things. So how would we determine then the business logic for what happens to these social posts and profiles? So the important thing to understand is that MSE on itself will only ever create those profiles and posts, nothing else into CRM. So all the other business logic will have to be then managed in CRM, and you do that via the record creation and update rules feature. You can see it's under the settings and service management menu here in the user interface. And you might have already seen this in a previous version of CRM. It was called the case creation rules in the earlier 2013 Service Pack 1 release, but now it's been expanded to be generic, so you can apply it for any activity type and create any entity. So it's a lot more useful now. And on the bottom left, right there, you can see that I have a few creation and update rules created there. So the bottom one is the tweet records. So that's actually the one that created the lead for me in CRM. So let's go and dig into more details about that particular rule now. So in that record creation and update rule, first of all, we need to choose that for which activity type does this apply to. And the reason is that there's a few built-in options that are specific to the email channel and the social activity channels. Well, we could have this for any custom activity type in CRM or standard, like even phone calls or appointments if you want. So apply to them. There will be some filters that you can apply for social activities, like, for example, you can see there we have the option to create records for blocked social profiles, yes, no, and same thing for private messages, so something that is specific to the channel in question. Then we have the channel properties in the middle there, where you can see the MSE post records. So that's again something that we can then configure the specific handling of the message payload then for this particular channel there. And the final part there is then the record creation details, so actually the rule items. So on the bottom there we see that there's the tweet to lead, tweet to case, and tweet to signal. So those are then the rules that will be evaluated against all those matching activities that come in via this channel, and it will then be applying those rules and executing the first action that will meet the criteria. But let's first dig more into the channel properties we see there in the middle, so that MSE posts there, which I've created. So this is now the place where you can actually dig deeper into that strange-looking field, that additional parameters field on the social activity. So you can actually then take this kind of JSON format payload here and create these key value pairs yourself. So, for example, even the selection of the type of entity to create, that's also a variable that's delivered here as a part of the channel properties. So to make it happen so that a lead is created when a user chooses a lead from MSE, then you actually also already need to build that rule for that or channel property for the user preferred target entity variable, as we see there in the list on the first one. And here in the example, we can also then pick out further details. So, for example, the social post contained this influence score there. So we can see that this particular case has 46 as this score here. So we can again use that as a part of our rule for how to then process these posts further. So very nice granular control there, and also can expand them into future social channels without actually having to then rework the MSE and CRM integration part there. And then finally, the rule items, so really the actions that are performed on these records that come into that via that channel. So the rule items are then first they evaluate these conditions. And here we could say that, for example, now if we chose the target entity to be lead, then perform the creation of a new lead. Here we see that it's actually the value has been chosen as incident, so that's a schema name for a case entity in CRM. So then we would go and add an action for the creation of the case record, and here we could then map these values from that post into those details of the case record there. And we could also then trigger other follow-up actions here, like setting notification by workflow in CRM. So this is where your business logic will then be managed and configured. And so a few limitations to be aware of about the standard integration in the product right now. The first thing is that using this link to CRM feature it's a great feature, but it will always create a new record, and it cannot link to existing records in CRM yet. So this means that, for example, if you would be creating a case record from a question that comes to your social media profile, then right now you couldn't yet track those follow-up discussions, so not your replies or the further questions from customers, because they would always create a new case record when you click the link to CRM button. So there's no direct option to just create the activity itself in this version of MSE, but rather you will always create a single post and a single record in CRM. And then, as mentioned already a couple of times, it's important to note that there is no matching logic against your current customer data. So until you then merge this contact that the MSE integration creates into your potentially existing customer contact, then they will be separate there. So especially in a B2B scenario, if you be like working with particular customers on a repeated basis, then this could be, and we need to have a process around this for merging then the details. Okay, before we go to the customizations, maybe we would have time for a couple of questions here in the middle. Any new questions there in the Q&A bar?
It seems like we are having, we actually have received some questions. So the first one, Facebook has been pretty picky with their API in recent years. Is there a worry that they'll pull their API much like LinkedIn has for third parties? Is that something on Microsoft's radar?
Yeah, that's a good question, because LinkedIn definitely has been kind of very strict on who can use the data, and Microsoft does have agreements on the kind of social selling side of things for integrating with LinkedIn. So I'd imagine that with Facebook, they would be in a kind of a priority customer to actually then get access to the data if there would be further limitations there. But definitely is something to keep an eye on, and that's one reason why it's very dangerous to hardcode features like that into products that may then be deployed over several years. So a good question and a thing to keep an eye on there, definitely.
Here's another question. Does the sentiment algorithm learn as you adjust posts? I think that's probably back to the first section, but it's a question that somebody
so
had
the
asked.
sentiment, that is the idea behind the product, so that you can then educate it so that if you correct the sentiment there manually, then next time it will then also take into consideration your input from that, so not marking, for example, words to be negative if they are actually positive in your language and context.
Here's another question. Is there a social engagement license type for the linking and creating of records from MSE to Microsoft CRM?
No specific license, so you need to have the enterprise MSE license there, and you can then get that via also the bundle for the CRM Online Enterprise license, so that would be requirements for all the users who will then be performing the link to CRM action in the current model, but no separate, just no integration license type as such there.
Here's another question. Oh, I'm sorry. We just have two more questions. Is there any extension point in MSE, for instance, web service or API?
At the moment, no. So you cannot yet access this in analytics apps like Power BI or do your own extension, but that's definitely something on Microsoft's radar. So I'd expect things to be changing in the near future, but when, no words on that yet.
Okay. We just have one more question regarding this topic.
Sure.
Recently, I saw a Microsoft demo that illustrated replying to a tweet from within CRM. What you have shown suggests that this is not possible. Is this correct?
Yes, that is not a feature available yet, so it's definitely something that Microsoft is working on, but right now there's not yet the interactive discussion via the CRM UI, so you'll have to reply from MSE, but obviously it's something they're working on because it's going to be a limiting factor for this kind of social support cases right now. Okay, moving on to the last 50 minutes of our session time here. So the customization options then available today. So if you think about what we can do on the CRM side with the social posts and profiles, then the good thing is that we can do pretty much all the things you expect from the CRM entities. So we can add new fields there and new views. We can also customize the forms for these two entities. We cannot create new forms, but not really that's a big issue, in my opinion, for the typical scenarios. For analysis situation, we can add new charts here and build our dashboards based on the data there. Great thing is that we can also then access the data by workflow, so we can automate many things here, and also use business rules. I believe, haven't tried it out actually, but if workflows are supported, then I'd imagine business rules would be as well. And they're fully supported on the phone and tablet client as well. So if we, for example, look at how does a social profile then appear on a CRM tablet client, it's actually a pretty nice UI here out of the box already. So we can see the social profile details here, of course, but then also the related customer contact information there. We have the card showing the image there and contact details. And then we can see also the related cases for this social profile there and the actions on the toolbar in the bottom. So quite a fully featured experience already with the current mobile clients. And thinking about mobiles in combination with the dashboard, so again, we could then construct a specific kind of a way for accessing the data from your tablet applications. So whether this is going to be a very common scenario, viewing the social data via a mobile device, I'm not sure yet, but the good thing is that we can tailor it into being such a kind of like a more of a reporting hub and not really a place where you would then interact necessarily yet with the social posts and profiles. So we can list the charts here and also show, for example, that the contacts who have social profiles, we could already see their entity image is there as a list, so making it even nicer than in the standard web clients. So nice touchy like that. So looks good on mobile and tablet clients already out of the box. Now, speaking of the dashboards, so there's actually two ways we can build these things. So we can use either of the integration directions here. So first for the CRM to MSE integration, so kind of the one that used to be available for over 1 year now already. So we could embed these social insights widgets into the CRM dashboards or forms if you want to. So the way you work on those is that you configure them there's a specific component type on the dashboards, and then you have access to these MSE-specific widgets where you can then determine that for this particular search topic, I want to display the results, for example, the buzz and or language distribution. So different from the standard CRM components, and because the data is not stored in CRM, so you need the MSE license to actually view the data. But you can then from here also drill into the more details if you want to look at the smaller charts in more detail in the full MSE UI. Then for the other way integration, so the actual data that comes from MSE to CRM with this link to CRM feature. So here, because it's just like any CRM data, then we can build any new view filters and charts for ourselves, and we can then also combine them with any of the existing customer records in CRM, for example. So we could, for example, show the distribution of tweets per or customer or business units or account owners or other segment categories. So these kind of charts could be built then by having the data stored in the CRM database. So here I have an example of the first kind of a dashboard, so the one that shows the MSE widgets. So they are very nice visual components that are a bit more advanced looking than the CRM charts, and they are interactive to some level, but of course the downside is that if you want to then look into more details, then you'll have to drill into the MSE user interface rather than working on the data in CRM, and you cannot of course then access any of these kind of results in your CRM reports or other workflows or other features there. But if we then work with the CRM data, so social posts and activities that are stored in CRM as a result of the link to CRM feature, then here we can do everything that has been previously possible with your sales records, for example, or support cases. So we could combine then these analytical charts. So for example, here I'm showing on the right side the top 10 posts per author, so the number of social activities we sent from a particular contact, or then the top 10 influence scores, so based on the score that we see it as in the JSON payload, so viewing that as a chart there as well, or then the trend per week, for example. But then also combining that with all the native views of CRM records, of course. So for example, on the left corner, we have a list of the unprocessed social profile contacts. So these would then be the contacts that you would have to merge with your existing customer data or link to the accounts, because MSE cannot do that directly for you yet. And you could, of course, then also combine internal social tools like the activity feeds component as included here on this example dashboard. And then one limitation was that we couldn't really create a, so we also had to create something like a lead or a case from any post that we track from MSE to CRM, but many times I don't think that it's always relevant for that. Information might be relevant in social channels, but maybe not going to be a lead for your sales team to process, or not a case for your support to answer. So in these scenarios, we could actually then create a specific entity, a custom entity for tracking just this kind of like softer, smaller social signals there. So in this demo environment, I've actually created this signal entity that you saw there already integrated into MSE. And if I just want to then track a particular interesting tweet from a customer regarding, let's say, some events they're attending or potential news coming from the company, then I could actually leverage that as the kind of tracking the regarding item for the social activity there. And then, of course, I can run all the CRM workflows and other processes for automating that process further. So here's an example. I've created the signals entity here into CRM, and I could then access it via the CRM native views here, filter it, categorize it, further edit it, and add some data or insights into it from the CRM user interface. Here I could then see, of course, that it's going to be linked to the originating social post there. I would have the contact who actually posted the information there. So here I see, for example, that Mark Smith has been tweeting about a new visualization enhancement for Dynamics CRM. So I've tracked that as an interesting item for also other users, other CRM users to be aware of. So it's actually now a signal there, and it has the regarding social activity, of course, linked to it as well. And how we can actually then further enhance this user experience for tracking these signals is that we could also then push this into the CRM activity feeds feature. So this is not your social stream, but this is the kind of internal facing updates about what's new. So here you would typically see those your let's say status changes about your sales opportunities or incoming support cases and these kind of notifications. So we could again use the workflows for generating a new activity feed posts from that signal there, based on the logic, the rules that we apply there. And once we then link it to the actual customer contact, for example, then the great thing here is that, for example, here in the top, there's a signal that's been tracked now from John Rivers about an upcoming event for the Dynamics Technical Conference there. So because I'm following the John Rivers customer contact in the CRM environment, then I can automatically see it in my feed of new updates. So in there was new stream, the social post there being presented via this signal item. So a great example, I think, from how you can then combine these different features for making it such that you can also share information about these, let's say, software signals, and not just creating new sort of hardware records like cases or leads or opportunities from the social data. So lots of interesting areas to explore there. And if we start then adding these data, having more use cases for social records in the CRM UI, then of course, why wouldn't we also make it more easier for people to then navigate to this information? So here's an example of how I've added a brand new social area into the main nav bar of CRM. So I've just taken the sitemap editor from the Related Exam Toolbox solution or application and use it for creating a new social area there, adding groups for these related entities, and then, for example, lifting the social profiles and activities into the main navigation there, adding the signals alongside there, and also adding a custom link to the external MSE application. So I could then just right-click on that and open the full application there without having to navigate via the Office 365 portal or other bookmarks that I would have for getting into the separate MSE application there. So that's one idea about how to make it more easier for people then to get access to the social data that you are tracking into your CRM environment. You could, of course, then leverage the quick find features of CRM, so make all the social post content searchable here. So, for example, I've done a search for CRM UG here, so now I get results from the matching accounts and social profiles and signals and social activities. And do pay attention to this new upcoming feature for CRM 2016 version, the relevant search, because that's really going to be a great enhancement here, because then you can actually apply more than one search term here and also get relevance ranking about what's going to be the most likely post you want to see when searching for CRM UG term here, for example. So definitely something that you can then leverage the investment for the CRM platform for making your social data even more accessible. And by default, then the social profiles are actually linked as a related record under the contact. But what I'd like to see is that there would be a direct field there on the contact record for quickly opening up the matching Twitter profile of the contact there. So actually, in this demo, I've created also this kind of a workflow that will then automatically populate these fields to the contact form there, so that then I have a direct link to the Twitter profile of that contact. I don't have to go to a separate social profile record itself. And that's done by a simple workflow, so I'm not going to go into detail, but it's just 3 steps. So whenever a new social profile is created, then see if the social profile is related to a Twitter channel, and then append the information to the related contact about the Twitter handle and then the URL to their profile. And the reason really I did that for this demo scenario was that this actually gives us a good way for then getting the entity images populated there. So that's another limitation that you might run across, is that we cannot automatically populate the profile images from Twitter to the social profiles that we track from MSE to CRM. But by having that information there on the contact record itself, then we could actually leverage these other community tools like this entity image updater, for example, for then pulling in the data on the CRM side. So kind of automating part of that process and then doing bulk updates to your contact base, and then pulling in the Twitter profile image for those contacts who then have a linked social profile reference to them. And there's a link to the tool, and as mentioned, you'll get the slides by tomorrow, so you'll also have the link for the tool there. Here's just an example of how you could then run it. So we could choose that we want to apply this tool for all the for a set of contact entities in our database. We would choose then that we want to use the Twitter handle as the matching criteria, and then this tool will then go into do a query about all the matching contacts. You could limit it down to, for example, just the contacts with social profiles, and then run the update, and magically you will then get the profile images stored into your CRM records to the contact, so available directly from there, not just from the MSE user interface. And as a final example about the customization options then, so of course by having those social profile names there on the contact record, we could also then use them for building some small mashups for the CRM user interface, for then pulling data from external systems that might have more data about the contact with the same profile name. So here's a very quick and dirty demo. So I'm not a developer, but I just copy pasted some code from the internet, of course, and applied it there. So I have an iframe there on my demo environment's contact, where I then use the Twitter handle of the social profiles tracked from MSE, and then on the contact record, I actually then in real time, when I open the form, I match it to the I append the Twitter handle to the cloud.com services URL, and then show the corresponding profile there on the contact form. So then I can, for example, here learn more about what are the interest areas or expertise areas of this particular tracked contact there directly in the CRM user interface. That was the final slide of my presentation. So run a couple of minutes over, but definitely thank you for your time you spent here during the session. And if you have questions, then I'll be free to stay over a bit longer and try and answer all those questions. But as mentioned, all the slide content will become available to you for download. So by tomorrow at survivingcrm.com, there's going to be a slide deck uploaded there. And then, of course, the MSDynamicsWorld.com will also then post a recording of this session onto YouTube, so you can then also access the content from there for viewing the demo and the presentation again. So thanks a lot for your time, and please feel free to ask any remaining questions that you might now have about the topics we went through.
Thanks, Jukka. Looks like we actually do have a few questions that just came through. First question is, how would you see the activity feeds working if Yammer integration is turned on? Won't the posts be in different feeds?
Yeah, so the difference there would be that then it would be under the auto post tab, so it won't be as prominently visible there for the end user. You could still you can create those these kind of like workflow post records there, but the user experience is not going to be that great, and then the users cannot comment on those anymore. So that's the price you pay for enabling the Yammer integration there for CRM, between CRM and Yammer, instead of using the native active feeds UI for the CRM feature.
Here's another question. Without automatic integration between MSE and CRM, won't search, et cetera, be limited to data manually linked to CRM?
Yes, so the searches that for you do on the CRM side, so definitely they would only cover the CRM databases data, so only the tracked items, and that is something that's probably then, if you think about the future roadmap for MSE, then there was the promise of the automatic tagging of those posts that MSE discovers. So I think that's the direction we're going to, is that there will be more automation where the posts will also be then stored from MSE to CRM. So the amount of social data that you will get in your CRM probably is going to be bigger in the future once those new functionality rolls out. So then you can leverage more of the CRM search capabilities. But yes, of course, you will probably never have all of your 10,000 posts per month from MSE or more in your CRM database for sure.
Here's another question. Do you suspect that the ability to respond back from CRM and append social post responses to the same case in CRM will be supported soon?
I would imagine that's something that Microsoft is definitely working heavily on, because someone mentioned that they've already seen it in their demos, and yes, obviously. So right now, it's not really feasible for running your whole support process via the cases in CRM yet, if you are communicating via the social channels. So it's a good limitation, or it's good to be aware of the limitation right now, but I expect that by the springtime there will be then enhancement made and more features available already from within the CRM user interface without having to navigate to the related records in MSE. I think that's going to be still the vision that the Dynamics team has. So that's the cases would be managed via the CRM user interface, because there's also big investments being made onto the new Service Hub UI in the CRM 2016 release. So of course, all the social channels will need to be then also tied into that experience in the coming releases.
Okay, let me see. One more question came in. Any free MSE enterprise licenses for Microsoft partners?
For enterprise licenses, yes, that's a good question. I think currently we do have it in our partner instance, but I'm not 100% sure that is there then some specific form you need to fill for actually acquiring it. And that is a bit problematic, of course, for demonstrating and trying out a feature, because if you need to then have the paid license, then, well, you need to have one CRM online enterprise license at least then to enable that feature for that user. So assuming that you can then acquire the additional license, then probably that could be the route there. There were similar structures also earlier on with some other integrations. So I definitely reach out to your counterpart in the local Microsoft organization and ask about that, how you could then get the link to CRM feature working in a partner environment.
Okay, let me see if we have any more questions. Something else just came in. Do you foresee analytics or widget drill down staying on a CRM record in the future, as opposed to opening the MSE application to access that social data?
Okay, so yeah, viewing it via the kind of pre-configured widgets. Well, that's it's also a good question to think about. I mean, what's going to be then the real analytics story for Microsoft as a whole? Because of course, many of you have seen what's being done on the Power BI side of things, and now then when also the Dynamics products are part of the same cloud and enterprise organization at Microsoft, so it's something that you would expect that we see more and more of those features being leveraged then across applications, so that not all app would have their unique visualization components there. At the time it is like that, and there's no public roadmap disclosed about that feature yet. But I would say that looking at how fast the Power BI analytics features on the SQL team are rolling out on BSI, then there probably will be lots of features coming also for CRM and MSE users within the next year or so. Just my hunch, but I'd say that probably that would be the logical path forward, that there wouldn't be that much investment being made to the specific widgets that have been developed for this kind of point solutions for single applications. All right.
Yeah, Yuka, looks like all the questions. Yeah, nobody else has any more questions. Do you have your contact info up here, Yuka, that you can provide?
Sure. You can find it all from the survivingcrm.com blog. So there you can find my LinkedIn profile and other ways of getting in touch there. And of course, you can fairly easily find me on pretty much all the social networks because I do also use them for things other than CRM. So feel free to reach out to me there and let's connect then online.
Great. Thanks, Yuka. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone, for attending. I think Yuka mentioned that the session's recorded and will be available on demand probably within the next day or so, and we'll email out a link to everyone. So thank you very much, and have a great rest of the day.